Welcome to the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel. I'm your host, ArmaniTalks. In this channel, I'm covering communication skills in order to help you level up your way with words. If this is your first time on the channel, be sure to join me for future videos on how to improve speaking skills, writing skills, social skills by hitting that subscribe right on below. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back, and be sure to drop that like for me right on below, because today we're going to be talking about how to speak more slowly. Last year, I dropped a video called How to Stop Talking So Fast. And I'll link the video right on here and in the description box if you're watching from phone or laptop. And if you're watching from the TV, you can just type in How to Stop Talking So Fast, Armani Talks, and it should be the first video that pops up. But no need to watch the video right now, because I'm just going to give you a quick little summary, and I'm going to explain why I'm making today's video. In that video, I talked about the reason that people speak extremely fast is because they accidentally connect communication skills with words. And when they make this error of only viewing communication skills with words, what they do is they undermine the importance of silence. A part of them starts to think anytime that there's a silence in the conversation, that it's awkward. And when they start to do something like this, they want to fill up the silences with more words and even more words, which is causing them to speak extremely fast. The fix that I gave was that, number one, you need to embrace silences. More difficult than imaginable. So to make it easier, anytime that you are silent, you want to insert a smirk. The reason that you want to smirk or smile is because a smirk or smile generates endorphins in your brain, which allows you to feel good. And you connect the good feeling with the act of silence. And now you start to view communication skills in a different light. You embrace the words, you embrace the silences, and congratulations, you just became a holistic communicator. So that was the gist of the first episode. Now you may be wondering, okay, you already talked about this. Why are you talking about it again? The reason why is because the whole concept of speaking extremely fast is what I call a complex issue. And whenever it's a complex issue, that means there's a lot of different solutions for it. What I provided in that video was just one of many solutions out there. And in today's video, I'm going to break it down into two different parts. In the first part of the video, I'm going to be talking about why you speak fast, even though you're not nervous. And for the second part of the video, I'm going to be talking about why you speak fast when you are nervous. So you're going to get even a more deeper look into this issue. And who knows, I may even make a part 3. If this video gets 10 likes, I will make a part 3 in the near future. So make sure you're subscribed so you can tell when it's out. Now, before I begin with part 1 and part 2, I want to insert a quick little story about Jeff Bezos. Personally for me, I think Jeff Bezos is one of the best communicators on planet Earth. Now, this may seem like a stretch to you. All right, man, he's a good communicator. He's very crystal clear. But on planet Earth, get out of here. No, I seriously mean it. He's someone that is academically gifted. Plus, he has street smarts. He runs a profitable business, a successful business at that, and he's consistently changing up the game. You would expect a guy like this to be complex in his delivery, but that's not the case. He's extremely simple in his delivery. I always understand what he's saying, and he's a little goofy. It's better to be goofy than be boring. With this trifecta, I consider him one of the top communicators on planet Earth. Imagine my surprise when I was one time listening to one of his interviews, and one of the top rated comments is, "Man, Jeff Bezos talks so slow. He's so freaking boring." That comment got all these different likes, all these different other comments agreeing with it, talking about, yeah, Jeff Bezos speaks way too slowly. So how is it that I'm on one side of the spectrum, making the case that he's one of the best communicators on planet Earth. And there's a huge herd of people that have the completely different perspective, where they're making the case that he's one of the worst communicators on planet Earth. This started to show me that the whole concept of speaking fast and slow is way more subjective than initially thought. This is one of those things where you want to start asking more questions to yourself. Who is assessing if I'm speaking too fast? Who is assessing if I'm speaking too slow? Is this a narrative that I'm creating for myself? Are multiple different people telling me this? Just think about that. This makes you more inquisitive rather than just saying, I'm a fast talker and I can't do anything about it. Understand that this whole pacing that we have is more complex than imaginable and is different based off of the cultures that are processing your words, the groups of people that are processing your words, and the narrative that they have regarding you. A lot of these people, as I started to read their comments, they weren't just attacking Jeff Bezos' speech pace, they were also attacking his character. They were saying that he's too rich for his own good, he doesn't deserve his wealth, he's a bad person. And who knows how much of those underlying narratives were influencing their perception in regarding Jeff Bezos' speech pace. I told you this was a complex issue, but just keep this in mind and let's now begin with part 1 of the video, which is, why do you speak fast even when you're not nervous? I could be giving you thousands and thousands of reasons as to why you're speaking so fast, even though you're not feeling any type of anxiety. But for the sake of simplicity, I'm just going to give you 3 examples of when this happens and what to do about it. Number 1, did you know that there are people called truck drivers? I didn't know that this was the case, but there was a certain period when I was working in 7-Eleven, and a lot of these truck drivers would come and they would fill up these big trucks and they would spend so much money on gas. And as they were filling up their trucks, they would talk to me. I would talk back to them. And I'm like, yo, how long are you on the road for? Some of them would be like, man, I'm on the road for 12, 15 hours. I don't see my family for days sometimes. I'm like, well, what do you do the entire ride? They'll be like, I listen to audiobooks. Nowadays, I'm sure a lot of these truck drivers listen to audiobooks, podcasts, but the difference is that in the advancement of information technology, more of these people are listening to it at 1.5 times, 2 times the speed. So think about this real quick. They're on the road for 12, 15 hours by themselves, listening to a tape at a rapid pace. Eventually, their perception regarding what is normal communication is becoming warped. You may do that a lot. You may be watching this video right now at 2 times the speed. I know a lot of people do. So if you're consistently doing this, your perception is getting warped, and it doesn't necessarily matter if you're nervous or not. What happens is that you're starting to pick up a new reality. So to fix this, I recommend, even if you do listen to a lot of your content at 1.5 times, 2 times the speed, you still mix in regular speed every now and then so you understand what reality is. The second reason that a lot of people speak fast, even though they're not nervous, is because they love themselves some coffee, some Red Bull, some Monster, caffeine. And even if you're not mentally nervous, too much caffeine will physically make you nervous. This is one of the reasons why I say that you shouldn't be drinking a whole bunch of coffee before you're about to give a presentation. Because even if you're calm, it's going to make the audience at times think you're nervous. Your voice is too jittery. And this is why you're speaking too fast. The fix for this is to drink less caffeine. Okay, done. Now for the third reason, you're surrounded by people who communicate fast. It could be due to the culture that you're from, where people are naturally fast speakers. It may be because your friends just naturally like to talk a lot. And if you think about it, this is very similar to number 1, where you're having a new reality. So to fix this, it honestly comes down to being friends or at least acquaintances with a variety of different people. You should know people from different professions, ethnicities, different cultures, and much more, so you have a holistic understanding of what a proper speech pattern is for you. You don't just want to be associating with fast talkers, and trust me, a lot of people do that. So this is the first part of the video. You honestly have to be more introspective and see, am I consistently listening to fast tapes? Am I drinking too much caffeine? Are most of my environment filled with people who speak fast? Now I know what to do. So this is the first part of the video. Now for the second part. Let's say you're someone who's extremely nervous. What do you do then? To talk about what you should do, I'm going to tell you a story. And at first, you're going to be like, yo, Armani, man, why are you telling me this story for? It doesn't have anything to do with the topic that you're speaking about. But stay patient. Keep listening to the story, and you'll eventually see that it relates exactly to the topic. In freshman year in college, there was a certain period when I wanted to save more money. And I was getting angry because anytime I would go to the barbershop, they would find a way to mess up my hair and they'd still charge me money. I was thinking, how do you mess up my hair? At that time, I only had small little spikes. Any dummy could do it. Wait, why don't I cut my own hair? So I went back to my dorm and I told my dorm buddy, Ryan, who was my roommate basically. That's what a dorm buddy means. Ryan, I'm going to start cutting my own hair. Now, Ryan was this white kid, long curly hair. He looked like one of those surfers from California, super chill all the time. But when I told him that I was going to cut my own hair, he's like, Armani, I don't think you could do it. You don't think I could do it? Watch me. I go to Ross that day, I pick up a barber kit, and I come back to my place. I start cutting my hair. The first time I ever attempted to cut my hair, Ryan was right. I messed up. Didn't look good at all. The second time I ever attempted to cut my hair, Ryan was right. It didn't look good at all. But the third time that I attempted to cut my hair, it came out beautiful. When I saw that I could cut my own hair, it was a whirlwind of opportunities that were opening up for me. Now, I don't gotta pay these bum barbers anymore. I could spend more of that money for food, and who knows what else I could save money on. I told the guy, my neighbor, who lived in the next dorm to me, his name was Ravi. I told him exactly what happened, and he's like, you cut your own hair? I was like, yeah, I did. Then he looked at me and he's like, can you cut my hair? And Ravi was one of these ROTC guys. He always had a buzz cut. So I looked at him and I'm like, what hair? You don't even have any hair. And he's like, listen, man, just give me a buzz cut. And if it comes out good, I'll pay you money. I'll pay you $10. $10? Yeah, man, come on through. I'll cut your hair. So I give him a buzz cut, which was the easiest thing I could do. And he's like, oh my, wow, look at my hair. This looks amazing. Here's the $10. You mind if I tell my other ROTC buddies about your service? I'm like, my service? Yeah, you tell your other buddies about my service, my haircutting service. So 1 week goes on by and Ravi brings in his other ROTC buddy who barely has any hair, but wants a haircut, and he wants a buzz cut too. So I hook him up, and this guy gives me $10 as well. That's when he asks me something that I wasn't expecting. He's like, do you cut women's hair? My sister needs a haircut, and she doesn't trust too many people, but I know she'll trust you. Nah, man, I could only cut guys' hair, but not women's hair. He's like, come on, man, just give it a try. Trust me, I'm sure you could do it. I was like, all right, man, bring your sister over. Let me see what kind of hair she has. So he brings the sister over, and all she wants for her haircut is the split ends from the bottom trimmed off. It seems a little too simple, so I'm trying to get more information. Why don't you do it yourself? And a lot of women, even if they can do it themselves, they want someone else to do it with their hair. They don't want to take the risk. So I'm like, all right, I'll try. And I cut off the split ends. And she's like, Armani, oh my, this is one of the best haircuts I've ever had. I'm like, it is? Man, I just cut off a little inch off the bottom of your hair. But yeah, you like it, don't you? And at this point, I'm starting to get big-headed. I'm starting to think that I know how to cut hair and I know how to do it extremely well. And my roommate at the time is watching me as I have 3 satisfied customers, and now he's getting curious. He's wondering if he could save money with me cutting his hair. So he asks me, Armani, can you cut my hair too? And I told him, sure. So he sits down on my barber chair, and as I'm about to cut his hair, a part of me is nervous because for the first 3 individuals, I lucked out. I'm over here cutting people's hair who barely have any hair and an inch off the bottom. So I was feeling good, but with Ryan, he had these long, curly, blonde locks. And I'm thinking, man, this is looking more complex than I thought. And he wanted to cut his hair short. He wanted spikes like me. So I'm like, yeah, I could do it. I was faking a lot of that confidence. And here's what I noticed about Ryan. Normally, he sounded very chill, very slow in the way that he spoke. But as he was sitting on the chair, and as I was about to cut his hair, I'm creating conversation with him, he's speaking fast, very fast. And I could hear his heartbeat through his voice, which is indicating to me that he's nervous. And him being this nervous is making me a little bit more nervous too. But I proceed on regardless, and I'm starting to cut his hair. I'm starting to do the trim. I'm starting to look like the barber, doing this motion. And once it's done, he looks pretty good with the hairstyle that I just gave him, and he was pleasantly surprised. Once he saw his haircut and he was pleasantly surprised, he told me, he's like, yo, Armani, I'm not gonna lie, man, but right before you were about to cut my hair, my heart was beating through the roof. I was extremely nervous. I'm like, you don't say. I could tell, man. And this moment between myself and my roommate showed a big, big indicator into someone speaking fast. Wait, what, Armani? I don't see a connection at all. You should. Because here was the thing. My roommate and I were both nervous. However, we both had different levels of control. My roommate didn't have much control in the situation. He was sitting in the barber's chair, and all he could do was sit. Me, on the other hand, I had a high level of control, where I could control the destiny of this haircut. Him, little control, me, high control. Now, in terms of communication, what a lot of people do is they put themselves as the Ryan in the situation, the person without the control, versus the me in the situation, the barber with a lot of control. Both parties are nervous, but it comes down to the level of control. When you mistakenly view yourself as the Ryan in the scenario, you're one of those guys who's like, okay, well, I talk fast, but I can't do anything about it. And this is the narrative for a lot of people out there. I see a lot of fast talkers who's like, well, I'm just naturally a fast talker. Oh, well. And what they're doing is they're stripping away their control. Instead, what they should do is they should stand up, be the barber, and say, I control this destiny. I control whether this person has a good haircut or not. I control whether I speak fast or not. And when they just make that small little transition from being a guy who's getting his hair cut to the person who is cutting the hair, that's when the paradigm shifts. That's when the fix that I recommended in the beginning of the video, where you start to embrace silences, It's something that you do with the right attitude. It's something where you're like, I can do this. I can talk slower if I want. It's not a fate that I'm a fast talker. It's something that I can control anytime that I want. So the moral of today's video is that if you're a nervous communicator, you want to be one of those people that's changing your perspective regarding the scenario. You are not someone with little to no control. You are the person who has a lot of control. As soon as you make that understanding, you announce out loud, yo, I could slow down and change the pacing of my speech anytime I want to. That's when all the different tactics start to come up alive. And that's when you start to feel less and less nervous for future interactions. And in the future interactions, even if you do feel nervous, a part of yourself remembers, yo, I'm the barber, remember? I can slow down right now. And you catch yourself as you're speaking fast, you change, you alter, and now you're slowing down your pace. So this is how it works. The moral of today's video is that sometimes you're going to speak fast and you're not nervous. For those types of scenarios, just keep reducing the variable more and more, whatever it is causing that fast speech, whether it's caffeine, whether it's you listening to fast tapes, whether you're always surrounded by fast talking people. And the second moral was, if you're someone who's getting nervous and that's causing you to speak fast, no longer be the person who's hopeless, the person who doesn't have control, but put that flag in the ground that says that you do have control, and then all the tactics will come to life. If you enjoyed today's video and you'd like to learn more about communication skills through the short story format, be sure to check out the ArmaniTalks short story collection, which includes over 400 plus stories dealing with how you can become a better communicator. At this stage in our life, time is the most important asset. We all make the same conclusion, whether you're black, white, man, woman. Time is the most valuable asset. And you're at that stage in your life right now where you're having less and less time, as it seems. You're a new family man. You're trying to get a business off the ground. You just got a promotion at work and you're consistently working non-stop. Less and less time. However, we're in the information age where you need to consistently be learning because things are consistently changing around you. The need for learning is more important than ever. Less time, importance of learning. There's a contradiction. How are you going to learn when you have such little time? Through short stories. In the ArmaniTalks short stories collection, you're going to be given a wide range of short stories that you could pick up after a long days of work and continue to learn. You're going to learn about topics which will help you build your self-esteem and self-image so you're communicating with power. You're going to learn how to carve your message in a compelling way so when you speak, other people have no choice but to listen. And you're going to learn social skills frameworks and psychology principles which allow you to persuade and get your message resonating with plenty of people around the planet. What are you waiting for? Grab a copy of the ArmaniTalks short story collection in the description box or the pinned comment right on below. And thank you for joining the ArmaniTalks YouTube channel.